This goes back to when I was a sophomore in college. I was 20 studying for my biology exam when my roommate Sophie barged into the room. She was obviously drunk. Again. Honestly, I was used to it. She was all about parties and noise. Me? I was the nerdy one, always buried in books. I tried to refocus, but Sophie came behind me, grabbed my shoulder and laughed. "Leah, why are you always glued to your books?" I turned around and said, "Well, you're always reeking of alcohol, so fair trade." She laughed harder and said, "All right, touché. But listen, come to the party with me tomorrow night, and I promise I'll be quiet the whole week. Deal?" I didn't want to say yes, but honestly, I kinda wanted a break. Just one night. The next evening, I got ready. It had been ages since I dressed up like this. The party was wild. Blaring music, flashing lights, drunk people everywhere. I had a few drinks, not enough to be wasted, but I was definitely tipsy. Then, out of nowhere, this guy shows up. Tall, red hair, piercing blue eyes. Really good looking. He introduced himself as Luke. We talked for like half an hour, laughing and joking around. He seemed different. Then he asked if I wanted another drink. I said sure. He came back with 2 glasses, and the next thing I remember, we were in one of the rooms just talking. Then he asked me, "Do you want to come back to my place? It'll be fun." I hesitated for a second, but then said no. He kept trying to convince me. "Come on, you'll have a great time." But when I firmly said no, he finally backed off. He scribbled his number on a piece of paper, leaned in and whispered, "If you change your mind, call me." The next morning, I woke up in my dorm. Sophie was snoring loudly. I went to shower, and that paper with Luke's number fell out of my pocket. I thought about him for a second, but then brushed it off. Later that day, while I was studying, I suddenly got dizzy. Next thing I knew, I was waking up in a hospital bed. Police and nurses were around me. They said I had a severe allergic reaction, caused by something in saliva. That's when I remembered Luke. I told the cops about him and gave them his number. Weeks passed. Then the police called and told me they found 2 mutilated bodies in Luke's apartment. Women who had been there for months. My hands went cold. I realized that night I was kissing a cannibal. What if I had said yes and gone to his place?